It's time for another review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, a show so standalone that no episode makes any sense without the previously on segment, which usually doesn't relate to the episode it's catching you up on and tells you only what they want you to think about what already happened in an episode that they're hoping you won't watch. Hello, sirs or madams, it's your buddy Admiral Teag back with another review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Last week I swore I wouldn't review this anymore, but turns out my self-esteem is maybe a little lower than I thought, so here I am again with more thoughts on Episode 5 of Season 3. This one features Christine and Roger Corby leading an away mission to a mysterious planet. A planet that's mostly abandoned, but left behind a vestigial government of some sort that was able to tell the captain and everyone else on the Enterprise to keep the landing party really, really small, which has a great effect on keeping the budget down. It's a good thing that tiny government survived to tell them this. We roll out a brand new point of view character that we met for one moment a week ago. Diverse nurse works in sickbay with Chapel and Mabanga. He's upbeat and enthusiastic and loves saying the word Enterprise, which they make sure to put into his opening monologue.
Enterprise.
They try to get us to like him and be familiar with him and be on his side by having him talk about his enthusiasm for being on the ship, rather than, say, giving us his name or having him, say, write a family letter home, giving us something about the character to hold on to.
Junior Medical Officer's Log, Stardate 2184.4.
All we know about him is that he thinks that Mabanga and Christine are amazeballs, and he can't believe how lucky he is to be around them on the Enterprise. At any rate, he's been told over and over he's not qualified for landing party duty. So, of course, Mabang is going to relent and send him down there because he's a terrible doctor, bad commanding officer, and an awful mentor. Diverse male nurse contributes to the landing party's success by finding, picking up, activating, and holding extremely close to his face some alien tech that he has never seen before, having no idea what it might do. So, of course, it kaboom booms right in his hand, and he ends up sightless, rather graphically, in typical Alex Kurtzman style. This is, more than anything else, pure Alex Kurtzman storytelling. We have characters showing up already nervous, blurting out their entire backstories to people who seem to know it already, who merely confirm it by repeating it back to us.
No, please. Don't be one of those women. This is why I don't do this.
Oh, me? No. Why are we always so quiet when we need to talk?
Giving us the backstory twice in the space of about a minute, all delivered with rapid-fire dialogue as people talk over each other with overlapping comments and seem to know they're scripted as they are ready for someone else to take over the sentence in the middle and finish it.
Before or after we sent someone out?
Christine and Corby do this a few times in a smug way, but most of the time it's used in a very nervous and frenetic way. And there's a lot of that in this episode, the most we've seen since Section 31. All characters spend the episode either nervously or smugly blurting out the information we just saw. If you like seeing guys getting verbally abused, owned, or outright beat up by women, or if seeing black people break out of jail and beating up the one white extra in the entire cast in a needless scene just to waste runtime, well then this is the show for you. This show spends a lot of time schooling guys, womansplaining, or just shutting guys down. This week is allegedly about a planet whose inhabitants have solved the mystery of immortality. Or have they? On the same graveyard for bad asphalt and concrete we've seen passed off as a planet in Star Trek Discovery, we have discovered a hidden palace. Or is it a lab? Or is it a prison? We're teasing and stealing from Prometheus like you wouldn't believe as this disaster slows down while somehow managing to self-destruct even faster. The pacing is all over the place. Their riddles on top of riddles do not pay off or make sense. There's surprisingly little to tell about the people who used to live on this planet. They were weird, they had superior technology, they left behind some statues and art and some kind of weird stargates, and an edgy, mysterious palace, lab, or prison where they write in ancient Chinese that people can just recognize, because that's something we do now. Uhura's ability to just understand languages has spread to the rest of the landing party, and people are just reading things. They can just read this alien text. Nobody pulls out a tricorder and scans anything. There is no Star Trekishness to this story whatsoever. They seem to have some scientific curiosity, but they kind of figure out almost everything by magical thinking. There's a weird chain of command problem where, for some reason, Nurse Chapel, with no military rank, is in charge of the landing party, which somehow has her able to supersede Spock, who is chief science officer of the ship, even when the situation gets weirder and more sketch. While the writing for Spock remains absolutely horrible, Ethan Peck seems to be working a little harder here to deliver a slightly more dignified version of the character than the bacon-chewing, pillow-screaming, air-punching maniac we saw serial lying his way through a couple of episodes last year. Peck, grandson of Gregory Peck, seems to realize that this disrespectful take on Spock is just not playing well with a lot of people and might even possibly be damaging his career. So we see him sort of hanging back from the worst of the carnage. Last week, in the most disrespectful episode to date, A Space Adventure Hour, we saw a version of Spock that was reserved, removed, aloof, and kind of stayed out of this story, which was all about destructing William Shatner and going after Gene Roddenberry. Could this be because Leonard Nimoy did work with the new Star Trek people in the movies a little bit? I just don't know, but their disposition towards Spock seems to have changed, or Ethan Peck just isn't going to participate in the attacks on beloved actors anymore. For whatever reason, Spock a little bit calmer this season. That could all go out the window next week. Even though this week's episode is pretty slow, it's got a little bit too much going on. Ortega's brother Beto is some kind of Starfleet press or publicity, and he might be making a full-length feature on the Enterprise if the Federation approves of it. So he's in a lot of scenes representing the media, and this cynical show just seems to think the media is the greatest thing ever. As a reporter, he's presented as a little bit inept, a little bit naive, but really just a truth seeker who would never pull any punches or hold anything back, which means sooner or later that'll become part of his dark secret, I predict. Mark my words on that one. The boring, incohesive episode with barely any presence from the principal actors finally stops. Does not end, but stops. It's just over, and I guess we'll get back to it next week. Roger Corby is left to contemplate what might have been if he'd been a little better at figuring out the secrets of immortality, and I think he's an android already, but what do I know? Thank you so much for your time in listening to this video. Please hit the like and follow buttons if you enjoyed what you heard, considering joining me on Saturday nights for my Enterprise watch parties, and I'll be keeping an eye on this Strange New Worlds show. Anyway, take it easy. I'll see you out there.